Hey yo, Koyo here. So, today we're going to just look at a few things outside of racing somewhat in Sonic, racing Crossworlds. So, essentially, gadgets and vehicles and your character, they all play a huge part in what your gameplay is even going to feel like or what your game plan's even going to be. No joke. I think they actually really smashed it out of the park not this time around. Transformed had, as you know, the mods, right? The speed mod, the acceleration mod, and that could really affect how a character plays. However, the gadgets really add an extra little bit as well as the type of car you select, taking a little bit from Team Sonic Racing there. So, for example, right, this kart has however much speed it has, handling, acceleration. These are just the actual base stats of the car for the most part, because the other 100 or out of 100 is made up by the character you select. So essentially here if we look at the speed type car, we see that has 75 speed, 24 acceleration, 45 handling, 48 power, 33 boost. What do those all stand for anyway? So now we'll start with power first, because this might not be correct, but going based off of Team Sonic Racing, it's how fast you recover from getting hit by items and all sorts of things, possibly even affecting how much you knock a person to the side, how much of an impact you have. And then the other ones are more self-explanatory. Speed being top speed, acceleration being how fast you accelerate to top speed, handling being how well, okay, so there's a caveat to this one, and it's still something I'm experimenting around with. Sometimes it feels like the character has an effect on this too, but for the most part, the higher the handling, the more inward your drifting becomes, where if you have less handling, you can technically almost drift in place, or you'll have more of an outward drift, so you'll start to drift outward when you start pulling that drift, right? So tighter drifts, essentially, the higher it is. However, there are cases I have found where having less handling was beneficial. It's pretty odd. In fact, less handling feels like playing Sonic Racing Transformed, as odd as that sounds. But that's how it felt. It felt more similar and familiar. And then finally, there's boost. That's how much, well, based on what I've seen, I would need to do more, but it could change. All of this could change over time. We don't even have a release date, but boost would affect how much speed or how long that boost lasts anytime you boost out of a drift or using an item, etc. But mostly, I think out of drifting for the most part. Like, that's where I've seen the most heavy effect. And my assumption is that if you notice here, if we just scroll through, right? Handling and power have the highest boost out of all of these, except most likely its stream gears are gonna be very boosting based, because obviously power is power type, handling is handling, acceleration, right? It's self-explanatory. So therefore, its stream gear would be boost type most likely. If this is its stream gear, that is. It might be. It most likely is. And that'll be interesting to see, because that does make sense based on the actual gameplay of Sonic Riders, which I was playing at the beginning of my stream while crashing. But regardless, so that's just a general idea of how these stats kind of play in. And depending on, these are just the extremes of certain karts. If you just use all their parts, just to give an example, let's get the, what is it? Every time we change something, you might recognize this from Team Sonic Racing. Each part of its 3 customizable sections affect whatever stats they do. So if we're to choose the cross dozer here, that would increase our speed by 1, decrease our handling by 1, and decrease our power by 1, and increase our boost by 1, right? And then if we go to the right of that, the Fang Loader, compared to the Land Smasher, has only a -2 power and a +2 boost in boost. a +2 increase in boost, right? And then finally, the Egg Drillster also trades out acceleration, but takes back 1 power. So you only lose 1 point of power, but you do lose 1 point of acceleration for that little in between while maintaining higher speed. So as you play around with these, you can mix and match and try to figure out what little micro points will actually make that tiny bit of difference for you. And no joke, little things like this can affect your time trial scores, for instance. So there is that to keep in mind. However, I think most people tend to just go straight for the extremes, unless what I've also been seeing around. Oops, I'll just have a cross dozer ready to go here. But unless one thing I've also been seeing people do is they'll take the speed type, or what I assume might be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, and they'll actually combine it with like the Mirage Blade, for instance, because they want to maintain a certain level of speed and as well as power. I've noticed a lot of people like the Mirage Blade, and I think it's because of the power and little sacrifice to speed that you get from it. So all you just do is trade boost with it. But that's just an example of like what I've been seeing at C rank. I'm sure it's probably even crazier at B rank. Maybe people have established a meta, but regardless, yeah, that's kind of the idea with customization, just getting those little micro points. But it is the majority of the stats for your character. If we look at the character, so you might notice right on the blue, the bright blue here, the teal colors, the glowing teal, that is the character stats, and we're on the speed card that we were just looking at. So we can kind of figure from the stats on display, well, Sonic and Shadow are obviously speed types, right? They nearly get to 100 with their stats. Tails is obviously an acceleration type, judging by the huge boost in acceleration. Knuckles, oh yeah, actually that applies to Zaz too. They're both acceleration types, just to make that clear. Knuckles, Omega, and Eggman are all power types, judging by the amount of power they have, right? They're in the they're nearly close to 80, unless they're actually in a power type vehicle. And then Amy, as well as Cream, are handling types. And what I've noticed is rather interesting is, you might remember from every Sonic racing game before this that Tails used to be a handling type, and he is now an acceleration type. And you might also notice he has basically the highest speed out of or except for Zaz, I mean Zaz and Tails, or it's rather handling types, seem to maintain the second highest speed above all other characters or other character types, which is rather interesting, right? So acceleration used to be kind of go hand in hand with handling, where it's like, hey, these guys can keep control of themselves on the road, and they could get right back into the race even after they wipe out for a moment, right? They'll accelerate to top speed in no time. But that's really different here, and I found that just fascinating. And I'm curious to see how so many characters, like how those types will work. Of course, there's going to be boost types too, but just something to take in mind. So you can kind of mix and match and almost get, if you go for Amy and a speed type, you almost get a little bit of an even Steven minus the acceleration, right? And then on top of that, you can get that stronger degree of character, like, what was it, customization for how they control and feel. So I like playing Knuckles. For some reason, power type just works for me. See, now we're on the karts. You can see that now the actual kart stats, which are the majority of your stats, is now glowing. And I actually had a good time playing him in power type, but like I said, this is when I noticed, oh, this feels like transformed, Sonic Transforms drifting style. But whenever I use like handling or speed, which, have good handling, even acceleration, I noticed, wow, I'm turning much tighter. It's like I said, it's fascinating. It's something you would have to feel for yourself, and you'll know. You'll be like, whoa, that feels different. But like I said, the degree of customization you're afforded here, and even the micro changes in stats, do make somewhat of a difference, I've noticed. But beyond that, that's just one of the things you can do to kind of change up your gameplay. For anyone who does not have access to the game, I should have made it clear that this is who this video is for people who do not have access to the game and they're really curious to know. Obviously, you could look around on the internet and all that, but I guess, I don't know. I mean, I tend to get really, how do I put it, analytical with how I play games. So I would hope that the information I provide is useful to whatever floating questions you may have. And if you have any other questions, please ask down in the comments. I could definitely go into some, really crazy detail. Although, if you ask me about like, oh, on what frame does what happen, can't be too specific yet. That would be easier with fighting games for me. But regardless, basically, for the most part, I think every player would need to feel out what's best for them in terms of just general feel. But the one big piece of advice I find that helps is build your cart around your gadgets as well. Like, keep in mind your gadgets. You can build your cart however, but your gadgets actually play a gigantic part in your performance too. And what I found worked for me was a combination of both handling or power type for Knuckles, because drifting is something I abuse rather often. So, what was it? I've used the Fang Loader, I've used the Moto Beetle quite often, even the Drillster, and I found those very effective in my playstyle with the gadgets. And just to give an example of how that works, I'll just choose the power type for now. You could also change the colors, even the material. You know what? It's better I just show it. So let's just say, what was it? Right. So I also forgot about this. One other thing that maybe some players might not realize is, okay, there is a steering assist, there is an auto accelerate, there is a trick assist, but more importantly, there's a Team Sonic Racing controls. And what this does is it just swaps, what was it, your gas button from X to R1 or R2. I think, yeah, R1 or R2. R1 and R2, or R trigger and R button, whatever you want to call it, they are your drifting buttons in this game. They both do the same thing. There's no difference between the two. And the L button is for shooting items. I think the L trigger does the same. Or the left trigger does the same. So all Team Sonic Racing controls does is it just swaps those two buttons, really. And I think it makes it so that square was shoot. Is that what it was? Regardless, the main thing is it's there if you're just so used to the other playstyle. But I actually adapted to how this worked. I think it also makes it so that the right stick also functions for tricks. You can't exactly redirect yourself in the air like you used to. You actually would have to use tricks and move yourself left and right with those tricks to just get that little bit of adjustment. But I think for the most part, they built some parts of the stage knowing this. It's hard to explain, but I could try to show in gameplay. But that's just something I almost, forgot to mention. But just to go into the other thing that other players might not realize, I did not realize, I realized it so late because I was wondering, hey, how did people get these certain types of colors, right? So let's say we're going to edit this. We're going to go into the colors and we're like, okay, let's, change it to like pink, right? And, another thing you can add onto this is if we go down to here, right down here where it says texture, this is not a singular option right here. This is not its own thing. This is not just here for the sake of it. You click it. Yeah, you could change this all up. You could even have like the hinting of a color, right? It's almost, well, it's not pearlescent, but you get the idea. But you could change the material to get a more preferred look, which I'm like, yes, that's so awesome, because I don't know. I'm not sure if you have ever, ooh, actually I like that. But this is also a thing that's in Gundam Breaker as well, where you could actually change the texture to go with whatever you're editing and whatnot. So, just a quick little example. We're gonna make this pink. There we go. I like that. But also, let me make it Yes, like that. Nice. So regardless though. Oh, and yeah, you could change the glow, but no, I don't want to change. Oops. But of course you could also add stickers. And one of the things you can also do with these stickers is you can move it around, you can make it larger, do all that good stuff, rotate, etc. Just once again, thought I'd put that out there for people who might not have access to that information too easily. So we could, you know, we can make this really big. Really big. You can't put it here. But just showing you. Regardless, now we gotta talk about gadgets. So when it comes to gadgets, this is also another fascinating topic. When I was only looking at the description of the gadgets, I was like, I bet these won't have too much of an effect. Wrong. This changes everything. I kid you not. So you might notice I have a particular, so there's two setups I really like here. The warp ring one, yeah, it has its place. This was me playing around, but these types of items here that you could use to make items appear more frequently is so good. It's not like, you know, this is literally like you will get these items very freaking often. Now, if they might change that, who knows? But don't ignore these. Don't even, yeah, these are actually way more effective than you might believe. And when you've seen, once you've felt and seen how some of these items work to your playstyle, I had the boost item chance up, that helped. But once you've seen how these items work, you will know which ones you want to appear more often and what benefits your playstyle, because some of these items are actually important to playstyle. Like, for example, this defense item chance up, getting the gravity wisp is so beneficial to players that might like the double rings plus, I wonder if you could do that combination actually. You might not need ring range up, but this is what I'm kind of talking about. Well, it would work well with the ring limit up, especially, but you can kind of customize around your own playstyle. So one thing I found very useful, because it happened to me so often, so many times, was first place stolen from me, or even second or third place. Collision boost. Now, if you've played Mario Kart 8, and you know how on the gravity sections you bump into each other and you both boost, well, if you're the only one equipped with this and the other guy isn't, you're the one boosting, they're getting left behind. This is how I lost first place so many times, right at the finishing line. They would just give you a little tap, boom, right ahead of you. And you literally lose a little bit of speed as well on the side of this. So I ended up equipping it myself, and I stole places. I will tell you that. Slipstream enhancement can actually be quite handy too for maintaining a certain type of top speed. So you might realize why, yeah, power type kind of works for me, because that combined with boosting, you know, being behind whoever, I can kind of combine my drifting with that top speed and slipstream, and you know, you can get kind of crazy with this stuff, right? Adding the warp ring as another example of something that's just absolutely crazy. This does not only start you with it, it causes this item to appear in item boxes, otherwise it doesn't. So you know who has this, because their hand will be up holding this item, and you'll be like, all right, I'm gonna give them a hard time. But so it's a funny item, very psychological. But you know, there's all these crazy things, being able to have 3 items instead of just 2, being able to swap those items, especially if you're a strategic item user. There's plenty of those, especially at C rank. And then one of my favorites is switching quick charge. And what this is whenever you, now this is like a thing in Sonic racing in general, but if you're drifting, you can swap directions mid-drift without losing your boost. If you like doing that, at one time, just one time during that drift, right? Every time you drift, one time it will literally send you from, you know, up to the next level instantly. So essentially, yeah, you're just drifting, you switch, you know, directions while keeping your drift charge, bam, you go up a level. Combine that with the ultimate drift charge, adding a 4th level, because going from the 3rd level to the 4th level can actually take a while, right? So if you just throw in that little flip, you know, that little switch, right? That switch in direction, bam, you're at 4th charge level. You are boosting for a good while. And what also helps, throwing on level 1 quick charge, fill the drift charge level 1 even faster. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, sir. So this is for your drift kings out there. For those of you who love Initial D, fun fact, Initial D devs were involved in Sonic Racing Crossworlds. But there's still a few other drifting shenanigans for you drifters out there. That's the wrong kind of drift. For you drift lovers out there. So, perfect drift boost. If you are a fan of just timing, you know, like Tekken combo just timing, or, you know, just defend timing, well, okay, it's not that strict. So don't worry if you're not a Street Fighter or King of Fighters or a, you know, Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves, or City of the Wolves now, or any of those, or anime fighters, don't worry, you're fine. The timing is not that bad. But if you essentially, you know, once you go up a drift boost level and you time it around that section when you land on that drift boost, right? Then you'll be able to boost for an even longer time and even faster. And this can work wonders. You'll be speeding across. Given your build also, you know, works for that. This is why I like power type and why I love drifting. It works so well together. Technical drift is another interesting one. Drift charge will fill faster in landform, but the chances of sliding out increase. I have not slid out, so I don't know. I don't know about the sliding out part. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what they mean by that. I was thinking it was like Mario Kart slide out, like Mario Kart 64 when you drift too long. But maybe it's that you go outwards more. I'm not entirely sure. I couldn't really feel the difference because the items are absolutely chaotic in this game. Or even just you getting bumped around between everybody, right? There's also, I'm sure everyone's seen the speedy air trick when characters are performing tricks at like 3 times speed. And then finally we have all the ring related stuff. Do not ignore rings. Do not sleep on these. I know I've only shown you 2 builds, but I do have builds around me. And the thing about the ring limit stuff is there's even one where it works in opposite. Increase your machine's top speed when holding fewer rings. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff for all sorts of different playstyles. As we know, having more rings increases your top speed. So you could have the double rings plus the ring limit up, plus multiplying the ring range that you pick up rings at. This is a really good combination if you're especially just looking to maintain a high top speed. You know, you lose rings so fast, so being able to pull them in and hold more is definitely beneficial, I will tell you that. Or if you know you're prone to losing rings very easily, which, yes, if I don't have the other stuff, this is kind of a good one for if you're like, you know, I don't think I need the 2 spaces for something else. This could come in handy, as well as, which one was it? Oh, if you were an offensive player, item attack ring bonus, very good. You're always going to be picking up items, so, you know, could be a nice little, hey, what should I do with the 1 slot I have remaining, right? Get rings when using boost items to cross runoff areas. This is very specific. This is for very specific shortcut players. I started becoming one, so I think I'm going to be using this one again. Dash panel bonus. I mean, once again, you know, you're going to be going on dash panels. This could be beneficial to you. Or ring steal. This would be a good in combination with collision boost. I have done such a build. I wonder if I still have that one. No, I do not have it anymore, but I might. Oh, because I started implement. See, these are actually better than you believe. And I've just been jumping around. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? It's that time, you know, that I'm feeling that, like, what is it? I'm just feeling it, you know? Like, you know when you have a sixth sense that's telling you you should do this, right? That is exactly like just kind of how this feels, the gadgets. And then finally to bring it all together. So let's do some, let's use this. Let's use this as an example. Well, no, I have to show normal gameplay, and then I'll show you what it's like when we have the drifting involved too. So for now, let's use the rings. I think that's like easy to understand, right? We'll also take in my speed. And what I'm actually going to do, now I've never done this before, but there's also another thing I want to confirm. As you know, on the second lap, all the characters will go through a portal, and then they're on a completely different map, right? And then they're supposed to come back around on the third lap, correct? But on Metal Harbor, too bad we didn't get lucky, but that's okay. I'll just put random, I don't care what we get right now. But on the third lap, sometimes there's been times where the stage does something different. Wonder Museum has something especially different that I could think of. Metal Harbor has this big-ass jump that's not in the first lap. So we're actually gonna let... Oh yeah, notice how much people are using Mirage Blade. 1, 2, 3... And then we see a lot of, remember how it's talking about that kart style? It's like, oh, they take the speed car and they put something else at the back. So I've seen a whole lobby of Mirage Blades once, but otherwise, for the most part... Oh, I just realized there's that little spot. There we go. I don't know if you guys noticed that little white background in the back. That was interesting. One of my background pictures for when I'm streaming, Alba Saragaki. But oh my gosh, we have an A ranker in here now. That's crazy. Sonic OVA music. But let's test what happens when we just let everybody go forward. And we just kind of see how things are. And we also, that way I could also demonstrate kind of, you know, a lot of stuff without any, without anything in the way to distract us, right? I'll let them get a little bit ahead. Okay, I think that's good. So right now our speed is going up to 170. We have some rings, but for the most part, 200 seems to be our boost. 180 is around our top speed, right? So let's start picking up some rings and see what changes, right? Wow. So this is what it's like when there's no one else racing. So as you see, if we bump, we lose rings, but we're at 190 for top speed. So having 100 rings gives you, 10 to top speed. And when we're boosting, we get up to 223 or so. Let's see if we could get more rings. So now they've chosen a place. We're actually not gonna go through the portal, if we can help it. Oops, I lost some rings there, but that's okay. Let's find out. Let's find out what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pause here. Give them time to come back. Okay, so they just warped us in. I don't know if I caught that on screen. They literally just warped us out of the area. They will not, because the third stage, it makes sense. So they will not let you, F around and find out, essentially. But that's okay. We'll just take our time. So okay, we're at 200. So notice we're getting up to 237 speed when we boost all the way. Oh man, that's good then. And our max speed sits somewhere around, was it like just when we're going at normal rate, right? Which is very hard because we have a fever right now. Actually, you know what? Let's find out what happens when I want to show you guys the whole teleport thing that just happened. Oh no, no, there's too much. Oh, see, there we go. It warps you in because they're like, no, we can't have this. Okay, so for the most part, we're sitting at around close to 200. Yeah, 197. So you get a pretty big boost, right? Off of having all those rings. And I'm not joking when I say like that little boost can make a difference. And I imagine for time trials, well, actually, you probably can't do that for time trials. Also, you cannot fill tricks. I should mention that. But yeah, this is interesting. So now we know what happens if you don't try to keep up, if you just want to be, you know, quietly on your own. You can't. You can't do it. Oh my goodness. So that's fascinating. So now we're going to change our gadget loadout. Now I know, like, we only saw what boosting looks like and everything, but here's what happens when we switch to drifting. Or just something, you know, a gadget build that boosts our drifts and everything. We only saw a little bit of what that looks like, but you guys are gonna see what, you know, drifting with a power type card looks like. Ooh. Okay, so everyone's using speed type. Except Omega, who's the only other power type here. We'll go to Metal Harbor. But now we know what happens. If I just stay back, it's just gonna force me. But okay, so I'm guessing the whole meta might be that power types use handling, which is weird because their handling is decent, wasn't it? Acceleration has the worst handling, so that's interesting because it's not like handling actually has high speed. And could it be for or it could be drifting preference based. It's really hard to speak on this, but I will show you what that power type drifting looks like proper, as well as how the gadgets can really change, you know, what that looks like. Let's pay attention to what the boost does in terms of our speed numbers too. All right. This time we'll play for reals. I wish I could have the perfect boost together. Oops, no. Okay, that's fine. We'll let that go. Yo, I think changing your controls. Okay, by the way, the right stick actually does work for doing tricks, but you know, either way, if I use both sticks, it's gonna, you know, it's not like I'll be able to control myself midair. Like you can, as you saw there, is holding right, but it'll also like prioritize the trick first. But here's what power type drifting looks like. Notice how if I pull to the right, I don't actually go into the corner. Sometimes I even go outwards. You know what? Out of my way. Out of my way. All right. Okay, so when we're on water, you instead charge a jump, which is interesting. Turning in water is still a little funky for me, but I'll try to describe it as best as we can. We're gonna get on the water again. But essentially, what you can do is, so I'm holding left, and I was tricking, and it kind of veered me off. But I think, how do I describe this? Like, I don't know if you can actually drift in the water, per se. I think you, like, anytime you're charging your jump, it does change. Also, I'm sorry, there's so much information at once, but you can upwards and downwards drift, by the way. That's a thing. So I tend to just do that if I gotta stay in a straight line for whatever reason. Oops. Sorry, I was focusing on who I was gonna shoot with that boxing glove. Okay, so I was trying to use the trick button there, and I think it seems like because I got hit, it wouldn't let me. That's just something I also have noticed, but now I've confirmed. Uh-oh, that's trouble. There we go. So, if you notice the speed, we're hitting up to 250. Despite not having many rings, well, we have 100 rings, but we were hitting 250 with both the drift and the boost. So, like I said, it really lets you change up how you play, right? And when I was using the 200 rings, if you're, you know, like, and we weren't drifting too much, like, you can maintain a more consistent top speed, where our top speed was more variable, but we were able to push to really high highs with that drift charge, right?
Good enough.
So finally, the last thing we'll look at is the kart and the character. So we're going to change Knuckles to yeah, you know, I guess we'll go from no, okay, power type is the worst in I'm sorry. Power type is the worst in handling. There you go. I had to make sure. So we're gonna go from one extreme to another, and I guess I was leading to that, wasn't I? I guess instinctively I somehow knew, but let's do that. Let's go with an extreme and show you how much drifting changes. When someone matches. Okay, so we see some mirage blades. I keep calling them wing blades, and then oh wait, what's Amy over there using?
Hey guys.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm really trying to pay attention. I'm like, and then what does Cream have going on there? The Drillster, she's in a power type, and she's a handling type. Huh. That's a combination of... This is interesting. But I like how everyone's cars looks. They really decorated it up. So... Oh. I still have the drifting set. I'm sorry. I probably should have changed to an item set. But you know what? Since we're handling based right now. We might as well see the effects of having really high handling in combination with drifting. One thing you could do with less drifting is you could kind of drift in place. I don't know if you've played the original the original Sonic Racing, Sonic and All-Stars Racing, was it? But Jackie Bryant was basically able to drift in place. But notice that when we pull in even for a moment, we drift pretty tight. So if I'm holding to the opposite side and then I pull in, like, it's a pretty strong pull. We really tighten up that turn or that drift, and that's a good thing, especially for a stage like Ocean View. Whoops! Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll toss that. So if I'm holding the drift button, I'm not really drifting in the water. Like I am and I'm not. Like you turn better, but you're not drifting. Does that make sense? So we have Casino Park coming up. Yeah. Oh! Uh-oh, someone got the big Jeep. The monster truck. So... But yeah, the cart really does matter. Actually, I might be able to... darn it. Ugh. One thing I wanted to do was use that little switch boost in between. What? Who's behind me? You know, I should have looked behind myself. That was on me. But the tighter a drift we pull, the better. Because then we could cut some people off like this. Get him. Oops. Oh no! No! I hate going into the grass. That's okay. But yeah, otherwise, like, it's just a very different feel having really high handling. Oh yay, we'll get an item. I'm not going to take the shortcut. I've fallen off multiple times. Usually works out in the beginning, not at the end. There's just like a really bad luck factor for me. We're going to drain people's coins though. Whoops, coins! Oh my gosh, I mean rings. How did I say that? I guess all the years of Mario Kart probably. I should have used... Oh no! Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? I don't have collision boost, so let's stay away from people. But otherwise... As you saw, when it came to drifting, it was like, wow, you know, now we're really, you know, staying on track far more. So it can make a difference. I think it really depends on your playstyle, because when you bring items into the mix, that can really change everything, essentially.
Good enough.
And I think that's why I like using Knuckles, because he recovers faster from taking hits. And if you combine that with any of the other type cars, he's not gonna have as high speed as Sonic, but when you're getting constantly battered with items, it might be better to just recover faster, at least for me, right? I don't know what you guys might use, but that's just a little look at. I guess I do owe it to you guys. Let's show the item one. I won't leave you hanging without that information. You know what? We're gonna go all in on that. How about them apples? So, you know what we didn't see a lot of? We didn't see a lot of these. And we'll put it up here. We did see a good chunk of defense items, so let's play around with that. Let's do this. We'll have these items appear more up. Well, then what's the point? Okay, fine. To make a point, we'll just do the boost items. And we're gonna do... what else might be interesting to see? Because we've already seen Speedy Air Trick. That was shown on all the preview footage. So, how about... Ooh! Perfect Drift Boost. And... oh, and you know what? Since we're using this, might as well. I think this would be a really interesting combination. Maybe not the most effective. And you know what? We'll change the card again, just so you can see how different things can be. So, if we're using Knuckles, well, we did not have much speed, so let's go for a complete speed type, right? Let's go for the complete opposite. Bam. Just pure raw speed and and whatever acceleration we're able to get our hand on, right? Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's have that conversation. Let's talk about speed. What do you know about speed? Who are you? Why are you here? I don't know what I'm doing right now. All right. Regardless, though, there's never not a Mirage Blade in a single race, is there? But we'll see if we can get Rainbow Garden. I suck at Rainbow Garden. But maybe the items will change something. And then, what did they have going on the right? What does Sonic have going on? What is that one? We don't have enough time to check. But I think, wow, I like how, oh, okay, I was gonna say, I like how Eggman's the only one, you know, kind of chatting it up here. Everyone else is like really serious. You know, they're getting into it. Wonder Museum. Okay, that's fine. We get to see Wonder Museum proper this time without me just holding back and seeing what happened, right? But we have a speed type, so it's going to be different now, especially since we have a lack of acceleration, quite a lack of handling too. We're going to be seeing most likely Knuckles kind of drifting out a little bit. We're going to... let's pay attention to what our total speed is and how fast we get to it. And I guess our boost too, how much boost affects it, because we were hitting like 250 before, well, that one time. Ah, darn it. Okay, so, ooh, we're at 200 with Slipstream. How much do we get with the boost? Oops, 230. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, but then drifting. We don't have that super tight drifting. You see, we're going outwards quite a bit. So that's what's gonna happen. Not so good. So if you somehow knew what stage you were going to play on, handling would probably be really good on some sections here. Let's finally go up here for once. You know what? I've never actually been up here. I know, that's kind of embarrassing. Well, I can see why. This is why everyone sticks to the bottom. All right. Oh, okay. So now we actually have this to use. Notice that, see, since I equipped the boost items, I used that at a runoff. Did we see some items there? I mean, some rings? Okay. Alright, alright. We don't have collision boost, so we're not going to be able to take advantage at the finish line. But it is what it is. Let's get a 3 charge boost. Okay, so 223, more or less. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Release with just timing. There we go. We should make use of that. There we go. So see, that's kind of the timing. You could, oh, I was paying too much attention to that. Let's get back to the race, shall we? I'll use this to make up for the boost that I missed. Oh, we have to boost. So with the speed type, we have to drift very early. Oh, we got rings from that. Okay, so because we were in a runoff area, while doing that, we got a lot of, we got like 20 rings I saw. Maybe we were already at 30. I could be wrong. Okay. I'm gonna do that. Who's behind us? Okay. Oops. Gonna use a boost there. Oh! Shoot this guy in front of me. Slowing us down. I can't really... Oh! Just where I could have used it, but that's fine. We'll save this. And this will protect us from anything. Okay. But speed type was interesting. I think it came in clutch at the end there. It did. It did. It got us to 5th there. That wasn't bad. But otherwise, yeah. Big differences with all your different setups. As you saw, we saw that Jeep come out quite a few times. We saw a lot of boost items just from equipping that. So if you're all about them boost items, there you go. And there's offensive type boost items too, like you saw. The drill wisp and that monster truck are both offensive based boosting items. So hopefully that gives y'all a really good idea of you know, kind of the general flow and how everything interacts with one another, essentially, as you saw there. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was just something I figured should be done before we cannot access this anymore. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to give you guys something to think about as we start getting closer to a release date. What might you do? How might you set up, you know? So, and just how it'll affect what you want out of your playstyle. I hope this was useful. If it wasn't, whatever. I made it just because I wanted to, and I figured it would be a cool thing to do. Anyway, subscribe or not, like or not, I don't care. Y'all have a good day.